Greetings everyone, this is Daniel Tall from PlaceMaker, and I have exciting news that we're releasing PlaceMaker version 4. And this version is a focus on the SketchUp extension and all the new features, and we're going to just dive right into how that works. Here's my PlaceMaker dialog box in SketchUp. I'm going to click on the PlaceMaker dialog, and we have a new button here, this toggle viewport, which you can now actually just select an area without having to import in a new aerial. Now I have a location here that I'm going to demonstrate in Seattle. I'm going to quickly just left click once and then left click again. It'll create this viewport for me. And I'll start with what's typical for us and go to use an aerial, use max settings here for near map, which is our high resolution aerial offering. And I'll click import imagery. And one of the first things that's changed is you can actually preview these tiles now before you select or click this import. So I'm going to click on the little eyeball here, and it will start giving me previews of the aerial itself. This looks great to me. This is max resolution in SketchUp. And I'm going to go ahead and click confirm. This import can actually take a couple of minutes, so be patient with it, especially if you consider I have the hidden geometry on and you can see all these tiles that it's actually importing. But aerial looks great to me. And let's say I want to add another area right next to it. So I'm going to go back to here. And I can just, there's all these grips here. Now these grips on the inside allow you to change the size. I'm not going to do that. But the grips on the other side, click on that. And now we'll let you select this area in equal proportions. And what's nice is you can come back to this one later or select this one. And we also have a history of downloads, which we'll go over. But now I'm going to show you how the grip works. I'm going to scale that in. And I'm going to go ahead and import that imagery and then we'll add that to our model. Again, just to show you the preview system again, click on the preview here and really zoom in and see what it's going to look like before you purchase or use credits. Hit confirm, let that run in. I brought in that second aerial and we're going to go on to the next data set. I've selected an area of Pittsburgh and I'm going to do the Google Earth 3D import. And just as a reminder, anywhere that we have near map high resolution aerials, we also have near map mesh models and the Google models. Now I've created this area. Again, I went in here and put a marquee in here and I want to import Google Earth 3D data on high. And it's going to say there's too many tiles to do that. And the reason why is we've actually, to make this work faster for Google Earth imports and more seamless, you have to make these areas smaller and then kind of tile them in. So we're going to just move this over a little bit. I'm just going to redraft it actually. Just right click and you create something and then right click away. You can right click and delete it. I'm going to just select this area. It's set on high and I'm going to click on import. And it's going to show me the preview. We can zoom in on this. And that looks good to me. We'll go ahead and start importing this. And then, so we're able to import that model in. And just a reminder that we have tags for everything. So I'm going to turn off the aerial. Move the tags out of the way for now. Well, I want to import in the rest of this. So I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to double that area now. So now we'll import this area in. And I'm going to quickly show you how we're going to do all these areas by just really quickly building this in. Hit import here. That looks great. It brought in the other side of Pittsburgh, downtown. Again, really detailed models in Google Earth 3D. Depends on some of the locations. We're going to bring in another area. So I want to bring in this area down here. So I'm going to click on the little marquee, and that actually looks like we can, build out both of these. So I'll click in here, and I'll click import. You can see what the bridges look like. Looks great. Import that in. That'll be the last piece of this model. So real quick, you can see the nice level of detail. And there's another level of detail here called max, which means you'd have to use probably a smaller area than I was doing. But this works pretty good. I'm going to turn on the hidden geometry so you can see what this looks like. But that's how Google Earth 3D imports work in this version. So we've had cesium terrain in the past, but we've added Google Earth terrain. And this is an area outside of Boulder. I'm going to select this marquee here. And then I'm going to click import terrain. It's going to tell me that I used a grid that was a little too tight. So going to click on whatever it's suggested. And this doesn't necessarily, that grid spacing doesn't necessarily represent terrain resolution. The terrain resolution really varies for Google Earth, like a lot of other places. Here we could see the preview for it. Looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to import that in. And that will start. And again, the imports process can take a little bit longer since the system we're using is now. Oh, that was pretty quick. So I'm going to refrain from saying that. I'm going to say, yes, set import terrain as target terrain. And the reason why is now that I set this as the target terrain, and I can do that down here. So I'm going to click on that, set that as the target terrain. It's going to say, create a region to cover the selected area, which was my original import area. But the reason why is because now I want to import my aerial over this. I'm going to use near map. We'll use high, set to recent. I'm going to click import imagery. And what that will do is actually merge that onto the terrain. Now, since this will take a little bit longer than what I just did. So I'm actually going to pause the video and come back. You can see that applied the aerial to here in that process. And the next thing I'm going to do is add these other features onto here. So I'm actually going to go down here and select trees, open this, and this is already set. I'm going to go back. This is set as the terrain. So this will merge with terrain. I can uncheck that, but I want it to merge with terrain. So I'm going to click import trees here, and it's going to show me a preview. Now, tree data is growing. It's not complete yet. It's what's available. That's pretty good. I'm going to say yes, confirm that, and that will actually put all the trees on the terrain. You can see it like that right there. We're going to do the same thing for these houses. So I'm going to go click on here. And again, I'm going to go click on buildings and open. And we'll use Microsoft for this one because I'm pretty sure they'll have the data. And again, merge with terrain, import buildings, and that's going to merge it right on there. We can see we don't have many houses there where we are in the foothills there. But pretty much this will allow us to really build this data pretty quickly. And I'm pretty sure we can do the same thing with roads. So we can tile the roads on terrain here. It says import roads. It's going to show me a preview here again. Right there, and this might take a little bit longer for the roads to be placed on terrain, but let's see what that does. And there you go, you can see it put the roads on there. On top of it, I can delete them. It didn't cut a hole in the terrain, it actually draped the roads on the outside of the terrain. So just built this whole thing live, not bad. Next, what I'm going to do is I want to add some terrain to this. So I'm going to go back to terrain, go to Google here. This time again, I'm going to flip this out by doubling right there. I'm going to say import terrain, and it will show me a preview of that area. It's pretty granular too. You can see it. And I'll hit import. I'll set this terrain now as the target terrain so we can bring in the aerial as well. So merge to set to terrain. Again, if I click set target terrain, I can click this one. That will set that to terrain. We can click on this one. And that will make that the target terrain. So we built in some memory into this so you can see how this works. I'm going to click on the preview here. Again, just to show you the preview features and how they work. It's really cool. I'll hit import. Also, if you've noticed the credit costs, those are all going to change. This is all beta version, so I have lots and lots of credits that I can use. But yes, we're going to wait for that import for that aerial to come in. You can see it popped in that high resolution on the terrain. And I can keep building the rest of this model in. So everything is tagged. I'm going to click on terrain. You can see we have our terrain model there. It's pretty granular, really good, decent terrain. And then I'm going to turn on, we also have our roads. You can see that. I'll turn the terrain off here and see our roads draped on there. And then we have our paths as well, also draped on there. Buildings. And some water. There's a canal there, all irrigation, and some trees. Not all the trees you can see, but really nice level of detail of what you can bring in and put on terrain. And just as a reminder, there's also, if you really want it, the Google Earth 3D mesh that I brought in. So they're both sitting in the same model. Really shows the level of detail and the options right here of what you can bring in with PlaceMaker. And as part of my projects. So yes, that's the terrain and Google Earth system and bringing stuff in. Next, we're going to talk about point cloud data that you can bring in as well. So PlaceMaker can access anywhere there's near map data. There's going to be point cloud data that you can bring in. We're going to go over that. Just takes a couple of minutes to get there, but you can see this. It also requires, for SketchUp users, requires Trimble Scan Essentials. So for the extension warehouse, I'll go to Scan Essentials, Trimble Scan Essentials for SketchUp. It's free. It's a point cloud. You can install, you can view point clouds in here. And I'll show you how this was done. And just to show you the rest of this model that's in here, because I can turn off these layers with the point cloud importer. We have imagery in here as well. This is near map high resolution imagery, which I brought in first to confirm that I had this location. And then I also did the Google Earth 3D. So again, just to show you all this data sets, but let's go ahead and I'll show you the process for importing in this kind of data and then what we can do with it, because you can actually create with Scan Essentials. You can actually create terrain with it pretty easily. And that by itself is worth how this works. You can see that SketchUp's like, don't do anything, please. And it will create the ground mesh for me. I'm going to turn it off. And you can see there's my ground mesh. So let's go through how this all works. Honestly, this process is very simple. You can see this is my area that I've selected. It's Cape Elizabeth Lighthouse, and I brought in the near map aerial already. But I'm going to quickly go to right down here. It says point cloud. You can try these samples if you want. I'm going to say import point cloud, and I'll confirm. And what it's going to do is saying that an order submitted. Please check your email for status. Well, one of the things you can actually do here to make that much easier is we have a history. This little clock icon shows us the history of these downloads. And the status right there, you can see it's currently processing the request for the point cloud. We're then going to download it and save it someplace where we know. So this is the downloaded folder. Comes into here. It comes into here. It's zipped, but it can PlaceMaker will automatically unzip it for you. Scan Essentials, I have the file already selected in here. You have to give it an associated name here. You click 3. And this will start the import process for you. This might take a second in SketchUp. You'll get some notifications. So it's saying a point cloud is open. Do you want to create a link between the current point cloud and the SketchUp model? Say yes. Do you want to align your point cloud with the SketchUp origin? Say yes. And there you can see it brought in the point cloud model. Now you can see there's all sorts of different settings here. I'm going to click on settings and I can adjust the point cloud opacity, density, all sorts of different elements here, shading. So there's lots of different tools that you can work with, but the essence is you can import in these point clouds. And then the other thing you can do with this is now we can actually, at simplest, we can create a ground mesh with it. Mesh cell is set to 1 meter. You can do fit, rectangular, or bound. I'd like to just do fit for best possible. Hit create mesh. It might ask you for an additional input, but it's generating it as we speak. You could see there it is in the hole there in the mesh. You created it. I'm going to turn off the point cloud, turn off point cloud on Trimble Scan Essential. And there you have this mesh data. And Scan Essentials is essentially getting updated eventually to hopefully model all these different objects. But this works anywhere there's near map data. You can find this point cloud data, but that in essence is how this import function works. And again, you can use the terrain tool here, create ground mesh, and it will create the terrain for you, as you can see here, which is great. This is a very efficient mesh for SketchUp. It's a quad grid. And yeah, this is going to become part of our standard work practice at our firm. Last part to go over is our download history, which is very useful. And I can, remember we have all these different options here. If I click on here, I can actually go and find past imports. So I'm going to click on, for example, we'll do right here. You can see the icons correspond. So we're going to do Boulder, Colorado again. I'll click on that. It's going to map will bring me all the way there. Then I can download the image. It's not going to cost me any credits. I can bring it in automatically. And then I can do the same thing for all the different attributes that we imported in, and including the terrain. I just didn't do this on terrain, so we can do this quicker. But you can see that all the data is still maintained, and it is for about 30 days. That's terrain, so we'll skip it. We'll do another aerial, then another aerial here. And I am literally rebuilding this on the fly as we're doing it live based off the saved data that's in here. I'm going to go back one more. So this is very useful in terms of going back and like, oh, we have a project, we have to do it. We need to go back and do that. So the whole thing was brought back in. We can also re-import the terrain aspect in here again. And this also works for point cloud and it works with the Google Earth data as well. So you can see here's the Google Earth data that we brought in previously. So that way you have access to all the downloads that you brought in. It does expire after 30 days. But that is PlaceMaker version 4 with all these features. We're going to have some other videos, including on our browser version of SketchUp. If you're using other applications that you can import into it, check out for that video next as well.